When I finally got back to Bulrush Cottage at the end of 1981, I made a big effort to sort things out with Thelma. We even booked a holiday to Barbados with the kids. Trouble is, if you're a chronic alcoholic, Barbados isn't the place to go. As soon as we got to the resort, I realised you could drink at the beach 24 hours a day. When we got on the plane to go home, Thelma turned to me and said, "This is the end, John. I want a divorce." I still didn't believe her. When the plane landed at Heathrow, someone from Jet Records had organised a helicopter to pick me up and take me to a meeting about the Diary of a Madman tour. I went to this country hotel where Sharon was waiting with all these set designers and lighting technicians. They led me into a conference room with a scale model of the Diary of a Madman stage in the middle of it. "It's brilliant," I said. "Now all we need is a midget."
A dwarf, as he so correctly put me right. He's not a midget, he's a dwarf, and he's...
The idea had come to me in Barbados. Every night on the tour, halfway through Goodbye to Romance, we'd stage the execution of a midget. I'd shout, "Hang the bastard," or something like that, and this little guy would be hoisted up with a fake noose around his neck. It would be magic. So, before we went out on the road, we held midget auditions. After a few days of searching, we finally found just the right bloke for the job. His name was John Allen, and funnily enough, he was an alcoholic. When the tour started at the end of 1981, I was a wreck. I was in love with Sharon, but at the same time I was cut to pieces by losing my family. The fights between me and Sharon started to get even crazier than before. I'd get drunk and try to hit her, and she'd throw things at me. Wine bottles, gold discs, TVs, you name it, would all come flying across the room. I ain't proud to admit that a few of my punches reached their target. I don't know why Sharon stuck around, to be honest with you. Sometimes she'd wake up in the morning and I'd be gone, 'cause I'd hitchhike back to Bulrush Cottage. It took me a long, long time to get over the breakup with Thelma, but eventually my little trips to Bulrush Cottage ended. The last time I went there, as soon as I walked through the gate, this heavy-set bloke popped out of nowhere and said, "Oi, where do you think you're going, eh?" "This is my house," I told him. The bloke shook his head. "No, it ain't. This is your ex-wife's house, and you're not allowed within 50 yards of it. Court order." "Can I at least get some clothes?" I asked. "Wait here." 5 minutes later, some of my old stage clothes came flying out of the door and landed on the grass. Then the door opened again, and out came my 7-foot-tall stuffed grizzly bear, his head in shreds. I felt terribly sorry for myself that night. I haven't seen Thelma for decades, and to be honest with you, I think it's for the best. By the time we took the Diary of a Madman tour to America, we were experts at midget hanging. But there were some other problems with the show, like the medieval chainmail suit I used to wear during a few of the numbers. As soon as I worked up a sweat, it was like being wrapped in razor blades. We also had a lot of trouble with our stage props. This mechanical arm with a giant godlike hand on the end of it would come out from under the drum riser and soar above the audience, with me crouching down in the palm. When the arm was fully extended, flames would shoot out of one of the fingers, and I'd stomp on this pedal by my foot, which would activate a catapult behind me, and about 50 pounds of raw meat would be flung into the audience. Then I'd stand up and shout, "Rock and roll!" It was fucking awesome. But on New Year's Eve, we were at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum and Sports Arena, playing to a crowd of tens of thousands, when everything went wrong. The mechanical arm for the hand got caught up in the carpet on the floor of the stage and started to pull it from under the giant speaker cabinets behind the band, making them wobble like crazy. Finally, the carpet was pulled free, and before I knew it, I was crouching down in the hand as it rose into the air, with this ocean of screaming kids below me. Then it was time for the final gimmick, so I stomped on the pedal beside my foot to activate the catapult, but the elastic just went phoot, and instead of this massive payload of pigs' bollocks and cows' entrails flying into the audience, it smacked me at 20 miles an hour in the back of the head. The last thing I remember is screaming, "Ah!" and feeling all this blood and offal dribbling down the back of my neck. The crowd thought it was all part of the show and went fucking wild. It became one of our trademarks, throwing butchers' offcuts into the audience. But then the audience got involved and the fans started to bring their own meat and throw it at us. It was insane what the kids would bring. It started with just cuts of meat, but then it moved on to entire animals. We had dead cats, birds, lizards, all kinds of stuff. With every gig it just got crazier and crazier. Eventually people started to throw things on stage with nails and razor blades embedded in them. Joke shop stuff mainly, like rubber snakes and plastic spiders. Some of the crew started to get freaked out about it, especially after a real snake ended up on stage one night. And then, on the 20th of January 1982, we played the Veterans Auditorium in Des Moines, Iowa. The gig was going great. Then, from out of the audience came this bat. Obviously a tie, I thought. So I held it up to the lights and bared my teeth while Randy played one of his solos. The crowd went mental. Then I did what I always did when we got a rubber tie on stage. Chomp! Immediately, though, something felt wrong. Very wrong. For a start, my mouth was instantly full of this warm, gloopy liquid with the worst aftertaste you could ever imagine. I could feel it staining my teeth and running down my chin. Then the head in my mouth twitched. Oh, fuck me, I thought. I didn't just go and eat a fucking bat, did I? So I spat out the head, looked over into the wings and saw Sharon with her eyes bulging, waving her hand, screaming, "No! It's real, Ozzy!" Next thing I knew, I was being rushed into an emergency room. Meanwhile, a doctor was saying to Sharon, "Yes, Miss Arden, the bat was alive. There's a good chance Mr. Osborne now has rabies. Symptoms? Oh, malaise, headache, fever, violent twitches, uncontrollable excitement, depression, a pathological fear of liquids. Not much chance of that," muttered Sharon. "Mania is usually one of the final symptoms. Then the patient gets very lethargic, falls into a coma, and stops breathing." "Isn't there a vaccine?" "It's usually best administered beforehand, but yes, we can give him a shot." Then the doctor went to get a syringe the size of a grenade launcher. "OK, Mr. Osborne," he said, "you'll need to take off your pants and bend over." I did as he said. "This might sting a bit." That was the last thing I heard. Every night for the rest of the tour, I had to find a doctor and get more rabies shots. One in each arse cheek, one in each thigh, one in each arm. I had more holes in me than a lump of fucking Swiss cheese, but it was better than getting rabies, I suppose. Not that anyone would have noticed the difference if I'd gone insane. Meanwhile, the press were going nuts.